Coming up, the government sets a date for travel quarantine hotels, but why has it taken so long?
ITV Lunchtime News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. Government ministers have defended the speed of the rollout of its hotel quarantine plan after confirming the scheme would begin in 10 days' time. Civil servants are racing to book up thousands of rooms near airports where travellers from 32 so-called red list countries will be forced to isolate. But opposition MPs and scientists have warned about the risks of further hold-ups to a policy which is designed to protect against the arrival of new COVID variants. Our political reporter Shihab Khan has more. The government has confirmed it now plans to vaccinate all of the over 50s and clinically most vulnerable by the start of May. It comes as the Business Secretary has announced a deal to secure 50 million doses of existing vaccines that can be adapted to tackle new variants of COVID if they are needed. Well, Daniel Hewitt joins us from Westminster. Daniel, good news on the speed of the vaccine rollout then?
Yes, Lucrezia.
Wales's Education Minister has confirmed that its youngest children and some vocational students will begin to return to school after half-term on February the 22nd. Evidence of lower transmission and the difficulty of remote learning for these groups means they are a priority. Increased financial support along with twice-weekly testing for staff will also be in place. Well, for more now, I'm joined. The UK's medicines regulator has published new research showing just how safe the vaccines are that are being rolled out across the country. Two women and a man have died in three incidents across Kilmarnock in Ayrshire last night. Police say they believe all three deaths are linked. Well, STV's chief reporter. Gas and electricity prices are likely to rise for some 15 million UK households from April. Energy regulator Ofgem will allow suppliers to increase their price cap in order to spread rising costs because of the pandemic to customers. Well, the cap is updated every 6 months and is based on a variety of different factors. This lunchtime, so Ofgem says it will be better for the customer in the long run. But before we get the advice on what customers should be doing, why is this happening now and why by so much? I really want to ask the question because I know one of your catchphrases, if you like, is ditch and switch, isn't it? But what about people watching today who just, they aren't as tech savvy as you. They don't really know their way around the internet so much. What can they do to help them? Still to come. But first, this week is Children's Mental Health Week, and with the majority still shut off from classrooms and friends, it's more important than ever to keep an eye on their well-being. The Duchess of Cambridge has thanked teachers for everything they are doing, but said looking after themselves was also crucial. Well, new figures from charity Place to Be show almost a third of parents believe their child's mental health is worse or much worse than before the pandemic, with tips now on what to look out for. And finally, this lunchtime, forget Netflix and Disney Plus box sets. It seems the latest lockdown viewing hit is Handforth Parish Council. A recording of the bad-tempered Zoom meeting for the normally sleepy Cheshire town started spreading on social media last night and has already generated a cult following for the indomitable council clerk, Jackie Weaver. Nithya Rajan reports. Jackie Weaver trending in our newsroom all morning. That's it this lunchtime. The ITV Evening News is at 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. But for now, from everyone here on the lunchtime team, bye-bye. Hello again. Now the main stories in London. Bailiffs are continuing their efforts to free a 20-year-old activist from a steel and concrete arm lock in a protest tunnel close to London's Euston Station. Bailiffs say activists have been offered safety equipment while efforts to remove them are ongoing. COVID ambassadors have been out on the streets of London providing support and guidance to the public this morning. Visually impaired Londoners are reporting hostile behaviour from members of the public because they can't always socially distance with ease. In sport, Chelsea beat Spurs 1-0 last night. All right, weather now. Here's Aisling Creevy. And that is all from us for now. I am back here at 6. Until then, enjoy your afternoon. Bye-bye. Some good news about the virus. The R number in London is the lowest in the country. The outbreak appears to be shrinking. We'll have the very latest. Tonight, underground and going nowhere. The HS2 protesters still refusing to move. Good evening. For 9 days and 9 long nights, HS2 protesters have been refusing to leave their underground tunnels at Euston Station. Last night, the bailiffs reached them, but one has locked his arm in steel and concrete. Well, his father told us he is worried for his son's safety. But from deep underground, Laser told our political correspondent Simon Harris the protest is too important to leave now. Now, a week that started with the announcement of door-to-door testing to contain the spread of a new strain of the virus in parts of London is ending with more positive news. The R rate in London is now between 0.6 and 0.9, suggesting the outbreak is shrinking. In some parts of the capital, the infection rate has almost halved in a week, but there is still reason to be cautious. We don't yet know the results of that surge testing. From Mitcham, one of the areas affected, Carolyn Sim reports. Well, to talk more about the latest virus news, I'm joined by Dr. Well, the election to decide London's mayor looks set to go ahead in May as the vaccination programme accelerates here and across the country. The elections. Well, if you are struggling with your mental health or know someone who is, there is always support available. The Samaritans number is on the screen now. It is 116 123. Now, almost a year into this pandemic, and we're used to keeping 2 metres apart and giving each other space. Guide dogs obviously don't know to do that, and blind and partially sighted Londoners have told us they are facing abuse on the streets if they get too close to people. They hope by raising awareness, they are treated with a little more empathy in future. Sam Holder reports. Now, the hit TV show It's a Sin, set in London during the AIDS epidemic of the 80s, has been watched by millions. It's made us laugh and cry in equal measure. If you haven't seen it, here's a reminder. Behind you, looking amazing. First of all, congratulations on raising so much money. Did you think that you'd sell so many T-shirts so quickly? We see La, we saw a little clip from the show, the La, but can you just put it into context for people who might not understand what that means and why it's significant for you? We're talking about that you are the mayor of Lambeth. Now, you're the only mayor in the country who's openly HIV positive. And now in 2021, do you think there is still stigma attached to being HIV positive? And obviously things have changed from the 80s, from when the show is set, but where are we now? Well, 2 months ago, Ali Turpie from Surrey was in the middle of a fundraising challenge running 10k a day for 28 days. At the age of 28, he expected to feel tired at the end, but couldn't have predicted what happened next. Ali had a stroke, something quite rare in men of his age. He spoke to Rachel Brown.
I will thank them all.
Now, after a mild week and some sunshine, it's getting much colder on the weekend. Here's Aisling with the weather. And finally, stuck at home, unable to see her friends and go to school, a 9-year-old from Twickenham decided to write to make her voice heard. It started as a diary. Now Olive Jameson has her first book published, illustrated by her big sister Hazel. It's called The Coronavirus Kids. Katie Barnfield has been to speak to them and their very proud mum. That is it for now. We are back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, Charlene White with the ITV Evening News. But from me and the rest of the London team, bye-bye.